Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just about 1 minute. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for your patience. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds here.
Hello?
Yep, we are good to go. Thank you.
Okay. Are we live?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time today. And first off, I want to sincerely apologize. I'm 8 minutes behind here, and I had a technology issue, believe it or not. So, here we are. We're always preaching about technology, and you should leverage all the resources. And, my computer is literally locked up for 8 minutes. So I apologize. But this will be well worth your time, I promise you, and we will get everyone out before 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay. All right. So, real quick, we have a special guest speaker on with us today, and she is the author of 3 awesome distribution solutions books that all have to do with retirement planning, tax saving strategies. She worked at the National Life Group LSW for many years. Now she's with a third party firm. Very, very intelligent woman that we look up to in so many ways. So I think that you all are going to be as pleased as I am with her speaking and with her insight to some really unique strategies that I think will help everyone. And when I say everyone, and this is why I wanted her to join us today and why we had her on my podcast as well. If you're an agent out there, right? Let's say you're a CLU, CHFC, financial planner, RIA, whatever the case is, okay, and you're, let's say, very advanced. You're like a Josh Hoffman in our office, okay? with the help of Mary and her tools and strategies, she will literally help take your practice to the next level. Okay, I promise you that. If you're an agent out there and you're a part timer and you're doing this late nights or weekends, right? Maybe you're in the car business and you sell cars, 9 to 5, and then you focus on insurance, from 6 to 8, whatever the case is. Okay, and let's say you focused on mortgage protection insurance and final expense. You never really had a case over, 7, 8 thousand of annual target premium. She also can help you bring your business to the next level. I promise you that. Okay. And that's the main reason why I asked her to join this call and to help our agents over the last few months. And the reason why, and you say, well, Bill, I'm that part-time agent and I'm selling from my third bedroom in Iowa. Okay. And I've never sold a premium finance case, or I've never sold a retirement planning IUL or whole life product. Okay. Well, if not, no problem. Okay. We all know someone. The old saying, I have a guy, right? If you know one person that fits into this criteria that we're going to talk about in a few more minutes, that's all it takes. Because let's say Bill Levinson is that prospect or that family friend or whatever the case is, right? And Bill Levinson, falls into that criteria, and you say, hey, Bill, do you have time, next Tuesday at 11:15 a.m. to speak with me and Mary, right? Because I want to set up this call and talk about retirement planning or tax saving strategies. Okay. Mary will jump on the call with you and your client and help you make the sale. Okay. And speak at a level that is way beyond, let's say, wherever your knowledge is when it comes to this type of life insurance selling. Okay. And if, let's say, this client wants their CPA on the phone or their estate planning attorney on the call with you, no problem. No problem. And Mary can answer 99.9% of those questions. So the point is, this concept is for everyone. And the average size case is over $100,000 of target premium. So this will literally change the game for you. And I don't care if you're focused on $22 a month mortgage protection policies or you're focused on the $300,000 a year IUL estate planning taxes or policies, no problem. So that's why I'm so excited about this, because everyone has a guy, as they say, right? So now the point of this whole training was for you to know enough to be dangerous, to start talking about these different strategies, to plant the seed and tee up the meeting, right? Obviously, we can do it online, especially this day and age. We don't have a choice, but it's very, very simple. You just need to know enough to be dangerous, like I just said. Go out there, start your marketing, start talking to friends, family members. If you know someone or a small business that is perfect for this concept, great. As soon as Mary's done, we're going to dive into our premium finance platforms. We have 2 different platforms, and again, a little bit for everyone. And then we're going to talk about some very interesting concepts that have to do with life settlements and how we just helped a local agent. Right? It's so crazy the way this worked out. We're going to share everything. We're also going to have our question of the day when we're done, right before 3 p.m. Eastern. Whoever answers first and correctly wins. I think we have an Amazon Echo, one left, or an Amazon tablet, your choice, or an equivalent gift card to Amazon. Okay, because we're technology focused, right? So anyway, stay on the whole time. Make sure you're jotting down a bunch of questions, notes, comments. We want to hear from you. We have that question box in the bottom right corner. Okay, let's move forward here. I'm very, very proud of this next slide, and I think that this hits home for all of us, if not most of us that are on this call. So without getting into anything personal, we all have friends, family members that were somehow affected by cancer, right? It's a horrible, horrible disease. And every year we like to give back and do something through the American Cancer Society. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. and we had everyone dress up in pink, okay, at least for the workers that are in the office. We have some people also working remote, but that was a group shot on the left-hand side. Everyone, of course, wearing pink or very close to it. And we made a donation to the American Cancer Society yesterday. I just think it's a nice gesture, and it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful we all are, we have to give back, right? And I feel like that's what life's about. And you talk about doing the right thing, and I always preach that, and giving back. And I just feel that it's so important, and it's our duty to do the right thing and give back. And this was our way of doing a little something through the American Cancer Society. So just wanted to share that with you all, and you'll see some marketing go out that has to do with Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Okay, let's move forward here. What I want to do before I introduce Mary Reed is just show you real quick. These are some other resources that you can tap into. We're going to send out a thank you email to everyone that's on the call. On the left side is a full 1-hour webinar that we did with Mary, talking about her awesome strategies. And then in the middle of the screen there is our 1-hour podcast that, in my opinion, was incredible. We had 2 or 3 cases already come in just from the podcast. So I think that there's a lot of value add there that you all should take a look at. And again, just listen and learn, especially most of us are home right now. So now's the time, right? Especially if you can learn. This costs you nothing. And by the way, if you leave a comment, I'll send you one of Mary's books on us. Okay, that's simple. Go to either your favorite podcast channel, YouTube, or through our website or on our Facebook page. Leave a comment about what you thought of the training. Done. I'll send you the book on us. Okay, those are 3 copies of Mary's books on the right-hand side, which we have in stock here in the office. Great tools for prospecting as well. And then, of course, we have a request a consultation button on our website. If you have a guy, right, that could be a guy or girl, obviously, that fits into the mold, then we are ready to move to the next step. And without further ado, I want to introduce our guest speaker. Mary Reed is joining us, and we all thank you and appreciate you taking time with us, Mary. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for that great introduction, and glad to see so many people are on. I can't help but saying, you know a guy. I do live in New Jersey in Soprano land, so we always do know a guy. But you really do know a guy that, I do everything with qualified money. I've been doing qualified plans for 40 years, and I can help people put in qualified plans. That's a whole conversation in itself, and we're at the time of year when people are doing that, and I can help you with that as well. But the big opportunity here that really is for everybody is distributing that money. Everybody loves putting the money in tax deductible. Everybody loves watching it grow tax deferred, and everybody hates paying the tax when it comes out. So we have a strategy where we can help people get control of that tax bill, lower the tax bill, and put the money back in their control, right? So the downside of having money in a qualified account, this could be any kind of qualified account, a 401k, a defined benefit, a SEP, a simple, a 403b, any kind of qualified account, right? When for people who don't need to spend down the money, if people need the money right away, fine, go use the money. But there is currently in this country $31 trillion sitting in qualified accounts. Think about that number, $31 trillion. Lay on top of that, we have 80 million baby boomers. That money is moving, and we can help people with that. For people who don't need the money and don't spend it down when they hit age 72 now, they'll have to take their required minimum distributions, whether they want to or not. And then what's even worse, for the people who don't need the money, they hate the RMDs. And if you ask them, what do you want to do with this money? Most of the time, they'll tell you they're going to pass it on, probably to their kids, maybe to a spouse first, but ultimately to their kids. Well, the Secure Act, which took effect on January 1, took the stretch IRA away. Now, when those kids inherit that account, they will have to liquidate it in 10 years. and that could be a catastrophic tax event. So we can now offer a solution that they don't know about. Hardly anybody knows about this. Their CPAs don't know, their other financial advisors don't know. What everybody is talking to these people about is, well, you can let the money keep growing in your IRA, take your RMDs, pass it on. Yeah, they're going to have to empty it in 10 years. Or you could do a Roth conversion, pay all the taxes now, let it grow tax-free. You won't have to take any RMDs. And now when it goes to your beneficiary, it'll all be income tax-free. But what they fail to add is when your beneficiary gets that account, they have to empty it in 10 years. Can't keep it growing forever. Also not such an attractive option. It's a big tax bill. So our alternative, we're going to reposition the money inside a qualified plan into life insurance. The reason for that is this is not a life insurance sale. This is a tax sale. This is a tax strategy. Life insurance is the tool. And the reason it's the tool is because it gets special tax treatment under the IRS rules. So when we distribute $1 from a qualified account, you pay tax on $1. But if that dollar is sitting inside a life insurance contract, under the IRS rules, you pay tax on what they define as the market value of that contract. So with the right contract, we get that taxable value. That market value is lower, and that lowers the tax bill. But that's only the beginning of the story. We reposition their money from a highly taxable asset to a tax-free asset. We get a discount on the tax along the way. We leverage up the benefit for their beneficiaries. We put the money back in their control because they're not subject to R&Ds, and there's no 10-year rule that hits the money. And on top of that, we can use their money to buy insurance on themselves or anybody they have an insurable interest in, spouses, children. We did a case a few years ago. We actually combined both qualified plans in this strategy. Someone came to us under 199A. They wanted a deduction to get their income down, which is still relevant. We're not hardly talking about it anymore, but it's still relevant. We put in a 412E3 plan for them, gave them a $400,000 contribution. We actually saved them just under $1 million in taxes over 5 years. They're 3 years into this. They have 2 years to go. At the end of 5 years, they'll have a little over $2 million in that 412E3 plan. We will then roll it into a 401k and use this strategy to get it out. We are buying the insurance on their 2 children who are in their 20s. When all is said and done, we'll have saved them $1 million in taxes, put the money in. The tax bill coming out will be $500 and change. We end up saving them overall in the whole picture, $450,000 in taxes. The death benefit on the 2 children will be $49 million that we just created a legacy for their grandchildren of $49 million. While we save them $450,000 in taxes. This can be an incredibly powerful tool. And it's for a lot of people. Who is a candidate? People have substantial sums sitting in those qualified accounts. We're typically working with $1 million or more, but sometimes it could be $500,000. They don't have to use all the money in their account. They can use whatever portion they want. People who don't need the money to live on in the next 2 years, they can pull cash from these policies in their lifetime if they want to use it. Preferably, they want to wait 10 years to do that. They can touch it as soon as we get to the 6-year mark. But most of the time, this is about legacy. They want to pass this money on to someone. They want it out of the RMDs because they don't want the RMDs. They don't need the RMDs. It just drives up their tax bill. And they want to pass this money on. And the living benefits become a valuable benefit, additional benefit here as well because the money is serving multiple needs. They've got cash if they want it. They've got living benefits, and they've got an increased legacy to their beneficiaries, and we reduce their taxes all along the way. So I'm sure, everybody on this line, if you ask your clients or people who has more than $500,000 sitting in their IRA, who's got more than $1 million sitting in their IRA, have they thought about how they're going to get that money out? Have they thought about how they're going to pay the taxes when that money comes out? Nobody has the answers to those questions when you ask them. We can help them find the answers. I encourage you, you've got the podcast you can tune into that we did if you want to get more detailed information. I know if you send in a message, Bill just said he'll send you the book. The third book is just on this strategy. The other two, one's on 412 plans, one's on qualified plans in general, but that last one that's down there on the bottom is just on this strategy. It's a great opportunity. You won't run into anybody else out there doing this. And we have a unique position to really help people better position that money they've accumulated.
That was great, Mary. Spot on. And I'll tell you what I'll do, especially because I was 8 minutes late, and it's my fault. What we're going to do, so Mary really focuses on two carriers, Lafayette Life and LSW. Lafayette for the more conservative client that wants guarantees in a whole life, and then LSW for the indexed universal life, maybe a client that's a little younger and they're okay with some small ups and downs, let's say, in cash value and death benefit, etc. So if you are appointed with Levinson, with any of those two carriers, or obviously if you get appointed, I will send you one of her 3 books on us as well. So either that or just leave a comment, like I said, on our podcast channel or on our Facebook page, and you're in. But I want everyone to learn just enough to be dangerous, because what I've seen Mary do on these calls or meetings, if you will, is unbelievable, and the value she brings to the table is priceless. And you don't have to refer that client out anymore and miss out on a huge commission. And then you never know when you refer the client out if the other agent isn't so loyal and they start selling other products or referring other people in, you can ultimately wind up losing the client. So I'd much rather see you control everything. You're the agent of record, and Mary will literally hold your hand in the prospect's hand to make sure that all questions are answered and the sale is made. So please leverage these resources, okay? We put together a great platform for you all. Okay. Mary, again, thank you so much. Next up, we're going to introduce Joseph Lochran. We're going to talk about premium finance concepts. And this is not the old premium finance from 15 years ago, okay? We have a few different platforms available now for all types of prospects. And I feel that we have another consultant, David, as well, that will do exactly what Mary does. If you have a guy, right, and you say, hey, Bill, I have the perfect candidate for this premium finance program, David will, again, set up a call with you and the client and literally hold your hand, and the sale will be made for you, okay, just like what Mary does. So I just feel like, this was so important because we all have a book of business, okay? When I say a book of business, if it's 5 clients, great. If it's, 5,000, that's obviously great too, but there's typically 1 or 2 or 5 that are in there that are up for this conversation. And when we're done, I'm going to show you some real life case examples. And I think after seeing this and spelling it out, and you say, oh my gosh, Melissa Smith, who I sold a whole life product to 7 years ago, would be perfect. Okay, that's the point of today's training. Joe's up next, and make sure you're taking down some notes. Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I'm going to jump right in. We've got some really good material, and of course, everything will be included in today's thank you email, and of course, links to all the different resources, training materials, different podcasts, so you'll be able to dive right in and kind of, really get additional information for any potential cases that you have. So when it comes to premium finance, like Bill said, a lot of new things in the industry, especially over the last couple of years. I just want to everybody know we've got 2 primary programs for premium financing, just kind of depending on the type of client that you're working with. So we'll start with program A on the left-hand side. There is more of our traditional financing cases. For those clients, minimum death benefit, 1 million, all the way up 4 million. We can even do more based on their income, maximum issue age of 60. We're kind of looking for net worth right around 5 million. And this is a 0 split program, which means when you write this premium finance case, you're not having to give up any commissions or any split on the case to be able to, use the help of that finance group. They're going to really kind of hold your hand, walk you through the process, help you fine tune illustrations, financing arrangements. They even have someone that will work with you and the client to put all those loan documents together. Of course, it's a full recourse loan. There's no annual loan requalification, which is important. A lot of times you see some interest rates from different funding groups, and they just sound too good to be true. And then you've got to requalify every single year. One-time financial underwriting, of course, one-time life insurance underwriting, which our office will help you with. And then you've got no arrangement or origination fees. So really, really good program, depending on what the client is looking for. And then program B, which I'm going to spend a little bit more time on, really focuses on maybe that client that doesn't have that $5 million net worth. Really, the only requirement we're looking for here is that they have $100,000 of minimum annual income. Even if they're maybe just fresh out of school, they're starting to make a lot of money as a physician or an attorney or an executive, and they don't have that big net worth to lean back on, we can go with Program B. Some of our core carriers with that are going to be Allianz, National Life Group, Minnesota Life, and even Emeritus. Really kind of gives you and the client a way to leverage 3-to-1 any premiums they're making. You can also do this through an employer as an employee benefit, which will protect them from any employer bankruptcy. So really, really neat program. I'm going to dive in and kind of show you some of the resources that are going to be available to you by accessing these different programs. So the way that this is leveraged is kind of unique. The client's paying some premiums, the lender's paying premiums into the policy, and that gives that client really the ability to buy a much larger death benefit and grow much more cash accumulation than if they were just self-funding the policy. So it kind of helps them leverage that entire scenario. Again, minimum requirement, $100,000 annual income. What I love about this program, there's no personal guarantee required, no interest payments, no loan documents, no credit checks. So it's really a streamlined scenario for premium financing. If you've ever done premium financing in the past and you were bogged down by all the closing documents and loan documents and collateral that need to be posted, all that is kind of thrown out the window. We've got a really simple, streamlined process. And when you pair that with some of the non-med underwriting that we have with a lot of these carriers, up to $5 million of death benefit with no pyramid exam, you can take what would normally be a 3-4 month process and really pare it down to a matter of weeks. So the goal here is to have a simple, easy solution that's obtainable, that can be done very quickly, and make sure you're delivering that product to that client the way that you're promising. So you get all the benefits of leveraging assets without typical risk that's associated with a typical loan. So really, really neat system, very quick, very easy. And I want to just touch on why we use Index Universal Life primarily for this type of finance scenario. Of course, we've got death benefit protection with most of these carriers. You've got a chronic illness rider for living benefit, terminal illness, and even chronic illness to kind of help protect if maybe they get sick and don't die along the way and can't make their premium payment. We have a great solution to protect them throughout the entire funding policy process. We've got very minimal expenses. We can start with a lower death benefit, maximum cash accumulation, and then really, really strong potential growth. Using upside crediting potential, you've got a 0% floor, so you're never going to have a negative return in that IUL product. And then, of course, the best part about Index Universal Life is being able to take tax-free distributions out of that policy at a later time. So you're going to be paying in premiums, you're going to be accumulating cash growth, and then you're going to be taking distributions out of that policy. Here's a quick example of kind of how these illustrations work. I'm going to dive into the actual software you'll have access to as an appointed agent, but it really simplifies the process for you, really spells out with some neat diagrams and custom client proposals just how this policy will look, based on what that client's actually putting in. So you'll see here, very simple, clients only paying premiums for 5 years. The lender is going to be paying premiums for a total of 10 years, and it really spells out what's required on behalf of the client and then what that funder is going to be paying in. And then it will actually compare it to if they self-funded the policy. And a lot of times you get into the finance scenario and you say, well, it might be easier just to self-pay the scenario. And when you look at these numbers, and look at that client just doing a 5-pay scenario, just paying 5 years of premium and they're done, it really works out in their favor. And what you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, kind of a full illustration you'll see the number $34,850 in the third column there. 5-pay, that's it. The client is done. The lender pays the additional premiums. And the whole point of this is that we're really growing a lot of cash value very early on. And then that client is going to stop paying in the 5th year. The cash is going to continue to grow. Then they're going to pay back that loan. And what the client's left with is a very, very strong paid up policy that will continue to grow on a deferred basis. And then they have that ability to take out tax-free distributions down the road. So it's a really, really neat way to kind of make sure that client is getting the coverage they need without having to really pay, the actual premiums that they would be needed to. And usually we kind of take those premiums and cut them into thirds, and 1/3 of what they would normally be paying is really what they're left with as part of their part of that funding. So really, really awesome system, really spelling everything out very easy for the client to kind of access. And like I mentioned, paying off the loan out of that policy cash value gives that client the ability to have a really simple structure where they're just paying in for 5 years and they're done. Most other financing scenarios are going to require that client pay in for 7 years, 10 years, and a lot of times they'll even have an increasing payment every single year. And I think that's a big drawback to some of the other financing groups, is that you want to be able to show your client, what they're going to have to pay from year 1 all the way to year 5, not have to worry about an increasing bill year after year. So to be able to give them that security and peace of mind, I think is great. You do have access to some custom reporting. So everything can be completely customized with your agent name, with the client's name. It really helps you kind of explain the entire premium financing scenario. And like Bill mentioned before, we have a premium finance specialist that will jump on a conference call, a Zoom call. If you even have someone that wants to meet face to face, we can try to arrange something if you're local to that premium finance specialist. But they are available. He is available to help you with the entire sales process. And one thing that's really unique about this program is they actually give you point of sale software that helps you interact with that client. So you can actually get the client's email address, get some basic information, and invite them to a Zoom call or a one-on-one webinar where you can actually go in, enter their information on the fly, and really create a customized proposal while you're on the phone with them that you can update based on what their needs might be. So I took a couple screenshots of that. I just want to show you how easy and simple it is. You're just entering in their age, their gender, their health, and what they want to contribute every single year. And based on that, the software will then give you a complete description of what the contributions are year after year, what your total combined contributions are, and then it will show you how the policy will actually be funded, what the internal rate of return is, let's say 10 years down the road, all the way up to age 90, to kind of give you an idea of what those tax-free distributions might look like inside of the policy. And it's really great because the client might say, well, at this point, I need more than $30,000 a year. I need 65. No problem. You can go back, change some of the inputs, and really kind of customize this presentation on the fly, which is one of the reasons that I think it's one of the more effective ways to present that whole financing scenario. And you'll even get customized charts that compare the premium financing scenario against regular index life insurance or any other sort of tax deferred investment to kind of show you how the financing scenario might beat some of the other options that are out there. So a lot of great materials. Another example showing death benefit remaining after distribution, really kind of pinpoint what that client needs and what they might be looking for inside of that unique scenario. So really, really great system. Here's a screenshot of what it looks like when you invite the client. You basically enter in their details, the client gets an email, and then they can see your screen and walk through this customized proposal. There's embedded videos, there's embedded client material, flyers, brochures, PowerPoints, all developed to help you actually work with that client and help you close that sale. One last thing I do want to mention on premium finance is you can actually access everything right on our website. I'll hand that over to Bill to go over some of those details.
Okay, good stuff, Joe. Thank you. So, yep, everything is on the premium finance section of our site, including some great training material. Also, 2 different podcasts were done with David, our consultant, and then I did another one with NIW. So some great material there. And then I want to just give you a real life case example, case study, if you will. Now, you think about your book of business, if you have 5,000 people, whatever it is. Okay, there's a ton of these older whole life policies that were sold. Okay, and this is a good example from it was a semi-captive career type agent, and this happened. It's been almost a year ago now, but think about if you brought this up to an existing client or friend, whatever the case is, doesn't matter, right? So the existing client, right? We'll call him Bob. So Bob, 51 years old, preferred health, has $1 million Mass Mutual whole life plan with $500,000 of cash value. Okay. Imagine saying to Bob, Bob, if I can get you into a new permanent policy, right, that's tied to the S&P, an IUL, but I can raise your death benefit from $1 million to $8 million plus you're going to get living benefits included at no extra charge, right? And we're going to match your premium. You're not going to pay a penny more of premium. We're going to take your death benefit and multiply it by 8. And by the way, the cash value, if you look at illustration to illustration, ours is 3 to 4 times higher on the IUL side. Okay, so here we go, penny for penny. We're taking the death benefit 1 million to 8 million, plus we're getting living benefits included. Okay, no one is going to say no to that. So this agent did exactly that with us through our first premium finance platform that Joe touched on. The agent obviously loved it, almost $300,000 in commissions. The premium finance third party company took zero because they get paid from the funder. Okay. And now this was a win-win for the client involved, for the agent involved, and the client says, "Oh my God, Bill, you're like Superman. I didn't even know this was available." And now Bob is telling all of his friends. Bob happens to be a doctor, so he's telling everyone at the hospital, "Oh my God, you will not believe what I just did using no extra out-of-pocket expense, using my same exact premiums. You won't believe what I was able to get." Okay, so imagine the referral stream that's coming in now, right? And again, it's just knowing enough to be dangerous. And that's why we wanted this training today with Mary and with our premium finance platforms. And you're going to learn something similar with a life settlement concept in a few more minutes. So anyway, I think when you break it down like this and you look at everything side by side, you see why this is a clear-cut winner. Let me give you just another example. This came up yesterday. There was an agent that called in, had a client in California, chiropractor, had an old Guardian whole life policy, right? We were able to put him into a new IUL. Think about this for a minute. A new IUL, cash value soared 3 to 5 times what the whole life product was paying. Okay, we did a 10 pay, so he's paying less every year, and premium stopping in 10 years, and the death benefit is double with the IUL product. Nothing to do with premium finance, just comparing an old school whole life to a new school IUL with living benefits. So this stuff is out there. This was another clear-cut no-brainer, and the target premium was like 80 grand plus excess because we 1035 the cash into the new IUL. So anyway, start thinking like this. Joe is going to pick it back up, and we're going to dive into some other great strategies. Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit and kind of dive into life settlements. We've seen a big resurgence of a lot of clients looking to dive into life settlements, especially with a lot of things happening with COVID, and maybe people saying I don't really want to keep paying for my policy anymore, or maybe looking at some ways to retire early. So in short, a life settlement is basically a sale of a life insurance policy to a third party, basically for value in excess of the cash surrender value. So a typical scenario, You want to look at maybe clients that are 65 or older. That's kind of the magic number. With a life insurance policy, that's at least $100,000 in death benefit. We can do term policies as long as they're convertible. We can do universal life, whole life, even survivorship policies. I mean, it's really good to kind of look at anything. And so I think as a lot of people look to increase stability in their retirement plans, it's definitely something that you need to be taking a look at. In fact, some state insurance departments have added this into their definition of what it means to be a fiduciary for the client, and making sure that you consider all options. If a client comes to you and says, "Hey, I don't want to, I'm going to lapse this policy, or I don't need it anymore, I want to downsize it," a lot of times people look at the life insurance policy as a cost, as a liability. They don't look at it as an asset, especially if it's term insurance. And they might think that it might not be worth anything, but what you might find out by diving a little bit deeper is that that policy could actually be worth quite a bit, not just to the client, but also a really great value to you as an agent if you're able to convert that term policy into a permanent policy, and of course, make full commissions on that. So a couple quick statistics: 88% of all universal life insurance never results in a claim. That means they're letting that policy go, they're not paying the premium, and they're not getting any additional value for it. And then 76% of universal life insurance purchased by seniors 65 or older are also never claimed. So that also tells us it's not just young people buying policies and letting them go. We're also looking at the senior market that has a lot of policies that they're just letting go, they're lapsing. So if you're hearing anything about policies being canceled, definitely give us a call and see if it might be worth something for the client. I'm going to quickly run through the entire process of kind of how the settlement works. The best part is there's very, very little amount of work that you have to do on your end. We'll actually do all the hard work behind the scenes, making sure that it's a good fit for the policy. Of course, obviously making sure that there's discovery, that you're talking to clients, you're looking at your book of business and explaining that this might be an asset for them down the road, or even now if they're looking to actually sell that policy. Step two, we've taken an application, just like a life insurance policy. We gather information on the policy, when it was issued. You have to make sure it's at least 2 years old and out of the contestability period. And then we'll gather documentation on that policy, something like an in-force illustration, basic information about their health status, kind of making sure that we've got all the pieces so that we can bundle that policy and start to work with all the different groups that might purchase the policy. Very important. There's a lot of groups out there that market directly to the consumer. And when they do that, you're not really getting always the best offer. I use the example of, buying life insurance through New York Life. Well, if you're not shopping other insurance carriers like an independent agent would, how do you know you have the most competitive price? So that's one thing that's important to explain to the client is, yes, they may see a TV commercial or that might find a brochure about selling their policy. They need to make sure they're going through an agent that can go to multiple sources to make sure they're getting the best offer. Sometimes there might be a 10 or even 15% difference in the offer price on a policy just based on the group that they're going to. So we'll go through the underwriting on the policy. We actually collect all medical records. We order life expectancy reports, which will tell us statistically how long that client is going to live and when the claim might happen based on their current medical condition. And this is kind of the opposite of a normal life insurance underwriting process. The sicker someone is, the more medical issues that they have, the more sought after that policy is going to be because it's one that might claim sooner than later. So that's something that's to keep in mind when you're looking and explaining this process to the client. And then we look at all the different companies that are able to offer on that policy in a given state. They do have to be a licensed entity to be able to purchase a policy. So then we go through those different offers and then communicate to you as the agent, hey, this is the best offer. Let's see if the client's interested in selling the policy. If they say, yes, I'd like to accept, then we go through sales agreement, put all the documents together. That money that's being put aside to purchase their policy by the funder is put in an escrow account. They actually just change ownership of the policy, get confirmation that that's been done, and then they will wire or overnight a check to your client. So very simple process. We handle everything behind the scenes. Once we gather the initial information up front, then we go to work for you and start putting together all the different pieces to make sure that we're getting the absolute best offer for that client. And then once your client is paid, if it's a term policy and needs to be converted, you're obviously included on that conversion, which can be very lucrative. And of course, When it comes to the conversions, we all know there's no underwriting that's involved. So it's pretty much sending in the application. The best part is the group that's purchasing the policy is paying for those conversion premiums. So it's not costing your client any additional money. They're just going to be selling the policy for value and receiving a cash amount for that transaction. So very, very simple, easy process. And I want to go through a really quick case study here and show you some additional marketing resources. This is one we did about, I want to say, about a year and a couple months ago. It was a Mail 81 issued standard back in 2009. It was a $100,000 GUL plan. There was zero cash value because it was a GUL. It was not a cash accumulation product. Was diagnosed with lymphoma, unable to make premium payments, and that policy was actually in danger of lapsing because it's going through some financial trouble, couldn't actually pay the premiums. So the life settlement was really the best option rather than letting that policy lapse. The life settlement offer was $35,000. They paid the agent commission of $5,000. That agent walked away with $40,000 just for the sale of that policy. And without the life settlement option, it literally would have been worth zero. Would have had to let the policy lapse. Wouldn't be able to have any money to afford any sort of death benefit protection or funeral costs down the road. And that's why it's so important to kind of uncover and make sure you're explaining this to the client. And before they say, oh, I'm just going to let it go, definitely check and see if it might be something that's worth value. It's a quick phone call, or you can go right on the website. If you look under products, there's a section that says life settlements in yellow. We've got a consumer brochure. We've got all the material here. You can even submit information on the website, and then our marketing team will look at it and get back to you and let you know if it might be a viable case. We can pretty much pinpoint that in just a 5-minute phone call to let you know if it's something that might be worth going to the next step. But again, you want to look for existing policies that have been at least around for 2 years or more, minimum age of 65. Of course, if someone has some really significant health issues, we may be able to go a little bit younger than 65, but that's kind of the sweet number that you're looking for as age 65. Also, we have a complete turnkey marketing system called Agency Automator that has email templates built in specifically for the life settlement opportunity. So we've got all the brochures, we've got information for the clients to take a look at. It's really good, especially if you have all your clients in here. You can say, show me all the clients that are 65 or older, and then send them this email about life settlements and understanding their options. So a really great way to kind of spread the word and raise awareness to make sure that they're not missing out on any opportunities to sell a policy. And then real quickly here, of course, we have our InsureMeNowDirect.com direct-to-consumer website. If you're not using this, it's where clients can run quotes, buy coverage instantly, and get approved. We've got life insurance, disability, critical illness, accident coverage. We even have our scholarship platform on here, children's whole life, guaranteed issue for seniors. So awesome, awesome products. There is actually built into this website a sell your policy button. And what that allows you to do is your client can go in, they can put basic information about their policy, and it will tell them what that policy might be worth. And they can click a button, you get notified immediately that someone was on your website, and they can actually do an e-application for the life settlement process. So really, really awesome tool. I think we're actually the only agency in the country that has an online e-application for life settlements that is consumer driven. So really makes the process very, very easy start to finish. And I'll hand it back over to Bill. We've got an awesome new contest that we just announced.
Yep, we are just about done, by the way. I know we ran a little bit over from the beginning. And I don't want to confuse anyone. I know we just went through 3 different concept strategies. The bottom line is, right, if you have an existing client that has a policy, right, that maybe they're over 65, not so healthy, can't afford it, maybe would rather have the cash, think about a life settlement, right? If you have that prospect out there that would be perfect for a premium finance concept, right? Like I showed you earlier with an existing whole life product that has some cash value. Obviously, we'll talk about premium finance. If you know a small business owner, right? Maybe a professional individual, younger professional family, okay, and they want to talk about retirement planning or tax saving strategies. Red flag goes up. Let us know, right? Know enough to be dangerous. We'll get the consultant or the right person on the phone with you and your client to literally hold your hand and make the sale for you. That's it. If you can just think about those things, send out some marketing, get the phone ringing, right? Create the sizzle. And one of those cases could be right under your umbrella today as we speak. And a $100,000 commission will change your year. Okay. I don't care how great of a year you're having or not so great of a year. It doesn't matter. Everyone can use a nice case like this. And most important, help the family, help the person or the small business. So anyway, that's just my main point I wanted to drive home is know enough to be dangerous and get your message out there. Okay, we have all the marketing to do exactly that. Okay, we wanted to do our own little stimulus program, right? And we call it Speed Dating Levinson Stimulus Program. We had a webinar on Tuesday. I hope you were on there. If not, you can check out the recorded link. We'll send it out in today's thank you email. Basically, we did speed dating with 10 different core insurance carriers, and it was cute. We did like 7 to 8 minutes. Each VP got to give you their 100-foot elevator pitch on why you should do business with them. Okay, lots of great info. The whole webinar was about an hour and a half. Check it out. All you have to do is get appointed, write your first app with that company. Of course, we match or beat your existing commissions, or if you're brand new, we'll give you a top level and you get $100 cash with your first app with any of those 10 carriers, right-hand side, okay? Very simple. The next one is even easier. This is the Haven Term Contest, Insure Me Now Direct. This is the direct-to-consumer term product, instant approval, okay, 100% direct-to-consumer. You get full commission, write your first app, free Amazon Fire tablet, or $50 gift card to Amazon, your choice. Done. That's simple. Let's move forward. We're going to wrap this up with our question of the day. And, you know, before I do the question of the day, I'm going to just talk about our Positive Tuesday quotes. You know, I had a friend that literally came in this morning that stopped by. I won't mention his name. And he is 33 years old now. And every time I talk to him, his name's Steven, and every time I talk to him, I say, Steven, how you doing? Is everything okay? And he says, oh, yeah, everything's great. You know, I got this new idea, and I'm going to start putting all the technology and the programming together, and I have this marketing concept. And I'm like, Steven, you know, I'm gonna talk to you like a brother. You know, he's very intelligent. And I said, you know, you have what it takes to be successful. I said, you know what your only problem is? You have so many different ideas every time I see you that you're never stepping on the gas with that one great idea. You're not being patient enough. Okay, he'll give it a couple months with each idea, and then he moves on to the next thing. And I said, if you can just focus on one or two things, right, and put your foot down on the gas, be focused, be patient, and crush it, whatever that thing is, right? I just feel like so many people, you know, they hear about, you know, this part of the industry and that part of the industry, and then they hear about real estate now and, you know, mortgages, and should I go into that business or this business? Should I do this part-time? Should I focus on mortgage protection? Man, nah, maybe final expense, maybe financial plan, whatever it is, it's fine. But I feel like we all have to do a better job of putting our blinders up, focusing on one concept and crushing it. Be the absolute best at whatever that concept is. And you got to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to hit the lottery and then boom, all of a sudden you're worth $142 million. No, it doesn't work like that. It takes years and years. But I just feel like, you know, so many people out there are, you know, they get so sidetracked. And I just wanted to share that thought because it just happened this morning. And he said, Bill, you know, thank you so much for telling me this. And you're right. And he left here and he sent me a text after and said, I'm focusing on this one concept and I'm going to crush it. I promise next time you see me, I'm going to be in a better place. And I said, great. So anyway, wanted to share that. We're going to end with this quote and then we'll have our question of the day. It can be expensive, uncomfortable, and take lots of time, but doing the right thing 100% of the time is key to any success story, right? And that goes for personal business, your clients, your business, whatever the case is. And sometimes it's not easy, as we all know, right? You always come to that stop sign, and you're like, wait a minute, if I do this, I'm going to get that. But if I do this, it's going to take longer. But you know what? It's the right thing. Always do the right thing. Okay, that's the bottom line. Sometimes it's not easy, but you got to keep your eye on the ball. Do the right thing. It always comes back tenfold, and there's good karma, right? As we all know. Okay, question of the day. Enough of my ranting. Two-part question here. Very simple. I hope it's simple for all of you. Answer first incorrectly, you win. Number one, we have two carriers that Mary Reed works with. Tell me the name of those two carriers and tell me the minimum age for a life settlement client, right? There's a target age. They have to be at least what age typically to qualify, right? Tell me the answer to those two questions. You win. Joe, do we have a winner?
Yes, we do. The winner is Rob A. from Florida.
Rob A. from Florida. The answer was Lafayette Life and LSW are the two carriers. Target minimum age for a life settlement is age 65. With that said, have a great rest of the week, a good weekend. Thank you so much, and dive into some of this training material. Know enough to be dangerous, and I promise the results will come. Take care, and thanks again.